With those last offers I mentioned, I remained loyal to my values of being honest. Now I'm going to tell you where I was not honest and it cost me big time. It was Memorial Day, 1982. I'm with my driver having my usual water on the rocks when this woman sits down next to me. She introduces herself as Jana Lee. We start talking. She asked me out. I learned that she grew up in the entertainment business. Regular guests at her home were Buddy Epson from the Beverly Hillbillies, Walt Disney, and other famous people. Then her dad suddenly died at 49. Her mother, with her daughter's birthday presents around the body, put a bullet in her head, and in the suicide note, blamed Jana Lee for the death. Jana Lee refused any help, and at 13 years old, ended up on the streets of Hollywood, where a pimp plied her with drugs and raped her over and over, and that led to drugs, drinking, prostitution, and teenage porn. I decided to help her out. I bought her new clothes. I paid to get her professional psychological counseling, and she continually suckered my male ego by calling me her rescuing angel. Then out of the blue, she proposes marriage to me, and she promised she would stop drinking. That was her wicked vice of choice, was her darn drinking. And there's this voice in my head going, Turner, you're being conned, you're being suckered, you're being seduced, run. Did I listen to the voice? No. Nope. Even the psychologist privately told me he had doubts of a successful union once he saw the depth of her psychopathology. And here I am, Mr. Tough karate guy, but when it came to women, I was a wimp, a wuss, a sucker. And the patsy said, sure, why not? Let's get married. We were wed. 1984, Jana Lee we're having dinner at a restaurant. This guy approaches our table. He says, you're Richard Turner. You once cheated me out of a bunch of money. I'm the banker that wanted to know how you could pick up a deck and tell 2 cards were missing. I thought, I'm going to get in a fight right here in front of everyone. All of a sudden, he grabbed my hand. He started shaking it vigorously and said, I saw you on That's Incredible. That was fantastic. He said, now I understand how you could pick up a deck and tell 2 cards were missing. He said, I just want to tell you, it was such a privilege to have been cheated by you. He turned and disappeared. I know it. You have stories to tell. I grabbed my cloth napkin and I started wiping down my right hand. Jana Lee leans over and says, Snidely, are you afraid of germs or something? I said, no. I don't like to shake hands because people's moisture or sweat can affect my touch with the cards. Shortly after the run-in with the banker, Jana Lee tells me she has an old client that wants to talk to me about playing in private games in Sin City. She sweetly said, he's talking about $300,000. I said, Sin City is Las Vegas, not a smart place to do business if you're planning on doing anything underhanded. Tell him, forget it, go away, I'm not interested. But Jana Lee got drunk and screamed and cursed at me for turning down the offer. And I have to say, to get out of the house, I started playing cards. I'd play 3, 4, 5 days a week. I didn't care if it was $1 ante or pot limit. And I have to confess, not every card came off the top. I was a cheat. And because of this, I was now being pursued. 1985, I'm on a flight, headed to a performance. And the stranger in the seat next to me lowers his paper and says, hello, Mr. Turner. I'd like to talk to you about doing a little business together. I said, what kind of business? He said, profitable business, very profitable. I said, how profitable? He said, 200,000 to 300,000 for your participation. I knew what he was going to say, but I still asked, to do what? He said, we're going to play cards for money, big money. I said, where? He said, South Africa, Sun City. I listened to what he said, made no deals. The plane landed. I went our separate ways. I thought that was the end of it. That was just the beginning. This guy stalked me across the country. He knew about my personal likes and dislikes. He would call me on private lines when I'd be 1,000 miles from home. I just finished a media interview. I'm in my hotel room. The phone rings. Now, to protect the innocent, that's sort of me, we're going to call the guy Mr. Diamond because he was a diamond dealer out of Africa. I answer the phone. He says, Richard, it's me, Diamond. I'm downstairs. Let me buy you dinner. I wanted to see what the guy was up to, so I had a chauffeur escort me to his table. Diamond didn't rise or offer to shake hands. He just said, Richard, have a seat. As soon as I sat down, he held his hand up in front of my face and said, I know your aversion to, well, you know, shaking hands. He snapped, take this. He handed me a 5-carat diamond pinky ring he said was worth $70,000. He said, it's a gift, a token of my good faith. I knew if I accepted that ring, I'd be married to the guy. And in a relationship like that, when it's time to go your own separate ways, the big D word doesn't stand for divorce, stands for death. I gave the ring back, said, that's okay. He changed the subject. He said, you're in the martial arts, well-trained. He said, you want to take someone out, this is what you do. We're at one of those little 2-person tables. He casually reached across the table, put his hand around my neck and started squeezing. And then without warning, he jerked his head a hairbreadth from my face. He says, what you do is you take your thick skull, drive it in the punk's nose. I call it Glasgow kiss, West Texas takedown. He says sometimes if you're lucky, the punk will bite through their own tongue. That was a very memorable meal. The thought of chopped tongue, appetizing. We were getting ready to leave. He said, hold it, Richard, you're in the entertainment business. Perhaps you'd like to be on the Tonight Show. He gave me a piece of paper that had 3 numbers on it. Johnny Carson's business number, Carson's personal number, and an answering service. He said, when you're ready to do business, leave a message and I'll get back with you. When I got home, I gave the number to Chuck Curtis. Chuck headed up one of the most successful SWAT teams in the history of law enforcement, taking down 4 serial murderers. It turns out it was Carson's private number, not an easy thing to get. Chuck said, with these mobsters following you, you need to be able to protect yourself. He had me out on the sheriff's firing range. He'd throw a rock at a target. I would aim and fire towards the sound. He then armed me with a Walther PPK. Now there's a bright idea, give a blind guy a gun. Again, I'm on the road. I walk into this restaurant. Sitting there is Diamond. Says, Richard, it's me, Diamond. Let me buy you a drink. I reluctantly sat down. This time he tells me how it cost him $400,000 to bribe a judge to make a murder rap go away. I said, $400,000 is a lot of money. He said, not for a judge. Then came the most frightening moment of all. He said, if you ever want to make Jan Lee go away, I can make that happen for you. He said, there'd be an accident, an explosion, boom. No one would know you were behind the killing. Capiche? He said, I just wanted to let you know that's another service I could provide to you if you're interested. Now I was scared, really scared. I knew he was trying to either entice or intimidate me into accepting his offer to cheat. Well, after the incident with the banker, I decided no more partners for me. I'm a single kind of guy. I stood up from the table, did the best I could to stare him down and said, don't ever contact me again, capiche? And I left there scared, really scared. Like I said, at that time, I was playing a lot of cards. I had this one wise guy. He owned a large commercial construction company. He wanted to cut double or nothing for the high card. He cut a 10, and I cut, what's that? Ace. He said, let's double it again. He cut a king. I cut, what's that? Ace of cups. He said, let's double it again. Double it again. He cut a 9. What's that? Ace of hearts. Watch again. Watch again. Watch again. Watch again. Watch again. Watch again. Again, he wanted to double. He cut another king. What's that? Ace of diamonds. That night, we doubled over a dozen times before he finally surrendered, exponentially multiplying my wins. Put him back in the deck, face down, shuffle him up. At one point, I owned 4 properties, 4 exotic cars, and I couldn't drive a 1, fine art, antiques, bronzes, and nutrition stores. Then came the 1988 market crash, down with the assets, and the rest I surrendered when Jan Lee sued for divorce. Like King David with Bathsheba, I screwed up. I billed myself as an honest cheat, and I was not. I prayed to God to forgive me for my cheating and my other dishonest behavior. You and I are going to have some fun together. What do you say?
Sounds great.
Sounds great. All right. Okay. Shuffle the cards. Just any way you want. Okay. Now set your deck right here.
Right.
All right. And, okay, we give the deck a few cuts. Now reach across, give my deck a few cuts. Tell me when you're done.
Yep.
Okay, reach in the deck, pull out a card. Look at it.
Do you want me to show everyone?
Yeah, please, yeah. You should recognize it.
Can't see what the camera is.
Okay. Okay, put it 1 inch over the deck.
Yeah.
Drop it.
Okay.
Got it. Cut the deck. Finish it.
Yeah.
Switch. Okay. Give it, let's do this right now. Give it an overhand shuffle like this.
Yeah.
Okay. Give it a casino shuffle. Okay. Give it another one. Okay, let's try not to do too fast. And let's try that one-handed job again, okay? Go like this. Let's see if we do a nice, pretty one. You got it?
Beautifully. Yeah.
Beautifully. Can you give it a one-hand cut? Okay. Okay. Now, reach across, cut my deck, and finish it.
Yeah.
You got it?
Got it.
Let me have your deck. Okay. Now, find your card.
Oh, I'd almost forgotten it again.
Oh my gosh, 2 times in a row. I could have just claimed the first 10 was your card.
I'm concentrating. Oh, I think I've got it.
Okay, what is it? Show everybody.
Yeah, it's the 3 of clubs.
Okay, well, I like the 3 of clubs. What's that?
Just the 3 of clubs?
There we go, there we go. Shuffle out, shuffle out. Okay. Okay, here we have the deck. Okay, got it? Oh, yeah, shuffle your card, shuffle out. All right. And a perfect match. In 1990, I meet this beautiful blue-eyed blonde from the mountains of Montana, a mountain girl, a country girl. I told her I was in the Cuyamaca Mountains hunting rattlesnakes. She said, I was in those same mountains with my brother, also looking for rattlesnakes. I thought, wow, this is a woman after my own heart, adventurous. I asked her out. Guess what our first date was? Rattlesnake hunting. Call me romantic. It's true. She hates to admit it. No. Well, we found no rattlesnakes, but after 2 years of roller coaster riding, bungee cord jumping, karate and weight training, mountain climbing, hunting sharks, surviving a 7.3 earthquake where everything around us came crashing down, we were married. And for the past 32 years, I've been a very blessed man. Thank you. Yes, I'm one for my wife, Kim. My treasure of all treasures. And we love each other as much now as we did then. And yeah, and she's also the mother of our brilliant son, Asa. His name is spelled A-S-A. His middle name is Spades, Ace of Spades. Cool name. It's true.